go back to Medicaid expansion.
Mhm.
This wouldn't be a complete interview without us talking about that, Daniel.
Sure, it is an important issue.
It sure is, and one we've been working on for many years. And we were so close this past legislative session, and then COVID-19 came and turned all of our worlds upside down.
Yeah.
But we know, and you had mentioned, Americans in all states, and we have red and blue, Democrat, Republican led states, have supported Medicaid expansion. And the polls in all of the other states nationally, and also here in Kansas, continue to show that it is popular, that everyone wants Medicaid expansion.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you have any words of wisdom? What do you believe that we need to do to overcome the politics of healthcare in order to expand Medicaid in Kansas?
Well, I would never presume, I would never be presumptuous to assume that, I could tell you or share with you, what I think can help to overcome the politics of healthcare and Medicaid expansion, especially in Kansas. But I think we need to hit a critical mass. I think, with all that's going on, with the triple pandemic that we've encountered, right? Not only relative to COVID, but relative to the inequities, relative to loneliness that's been striking us, all of these mental and behavioral health issues that have been looming. If we can't leverage these crises, right, and reach a critical mass, then I hate to seem, like I'm all doom and gloom. I don't know what else would make that case. So there's a lot of discourse in the media about the disconnect between our leaders in Washington and what the average American wants. And I think nothing exemplifies this more than the Affordable Care Act, and more specifically, protections for pre-existing conditions. When the ACA negotiations were underway, or even during the most recent repeal and replace efforts, there has been, quite a bit of pushback on protections for pre-existing conditions. But one thing we know is that those protections are widely popular with the general public. We had to find that sweet spot, right, within the ACA to create this critical mass, to push back on those efforts to repeal and replace the ACA, to get folks to wake up and understand what was at stake. And so, to that end, I think getting rid of those protections now is going to be exceedingly difficult and exceedingly unpopular. And I know that many of those policymakers who've opposed the Affordable Care Act have recognized that. But I think the same has to be said for Medicaid expansion. What can we do? What arguments can we raise to get that groundswell, to create that sea change that is needed to really get that? I know you said you were so close to getting it over the finish line. And yes, there are a host of external groups that have played a role in preventing you from realizing that. But again, all politics is local. And I think we have to mobilize folks. We have become so complacent over time with our networks. And I think we've got to revitalize those networks. We've got to get folks around this issue and to create those tangible arguments that we talked about early on in our discussion about Medicaid expansion and why Kansas would be better for it. Mm-hmm. And then I think, we can leverage these other policy levers that we talked about early on too, if that hasn't been tried and tested. Have you all tried, the ballot augmentation that we spoke about earlier?
Unfortunately, that's not an option in Kansas.
It's not.
It is not. So we've had discussions, but our Constitution does not allow it. We know that states around us have had success with it. So.
Oh no!
That's
well,
not a path we can go down.
It's not a path. Okay, so we're really going to have to work diligently on helping to educate the masses, right, and getting that groundswell and that grassroots, advocacy activated. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm afraid I can't give more then. That's a difficult one for even me.
Yeah, I think though that some of what you said that resonates with me is that, or at least what I heard is that, Medicaid expansion is a solution to a lot of issues, challenges that
Yeah.
we're facing.
That's
And
right.
it's not the only solution. It's not going to solve all problems. But as we're trying to deal with rural healthcare and the loss of, closings of hospitals, as we are looking at individuals who don't have access to mental health and substance use disorder services because they don't have insurance. As we're looking at just how do we create, healthy moms and healthy babies, and how
Yeah.
do we also, create a world of children that are going to grow up to be strong Kansans.
Right.
Medicaid expansion would be a significant help. So, as
Absolutely.
I think about it, it's like, how do you put all of those together and get folks who are behind each of those efforts? And, I love the idea of sort of a groundswell, and where everybody's saying we can't not do this.
Right.
That just doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
So we'll see what we can do in 2021. I know that it's not, we'll definitely be working our hardest and having a lot of great discussions with our policymakers.